There's a new kind of global conflict brewing, and it's not being fought with soldiers or tanks, but with something so tiny it fits on your fingertip, yet so powerful it basically runs our entire world. And the battle for control, it's already started. Just think about that number for a second. $50 billion. That is the amount of market value a single, incredibly dominant company lost. And how long it took? Well, that's the crazy part.
We're not talking about a slow decline over a year or even a month. Nope, it just vanished. Poof, in a single day. That's a shockwave that sends tremors through the entire global economy. So what on earth could cause a panic like that?
Well, a lot of people are framing this single event as the opening shot in what they're calling a new chip war, a geopolitical chess match with absolutely massive stakes. We're talking about who leads the world for the next 100 years. So let's break down what's really going on. Okay, to really get what's happening, we've got to zoom out a bit. We need to understand just how incredibly fragile the world's entire technological backbone really is. And it all boils down to a single, very precarious monopoly. I mean, just look at this. The imbalance is absolutely staggering. More than 90% of the world's most advanced semiconductor chips, the brains inside every iPhone, every AI server, every piece of modern military hardware, they're all made in one place, Taiwan. And most of those come from one company, TSMC. If those factories ever shut down, the global economy could literally grind to a halt in days.
Now, you might think this just happened by chance, but nope, this was a deliberate strategy. It's called the Silicon Shield. The whole idea was to make Taiwan so essential to everyone, the US, Europe, even China, that it would be quite literally too critical to attack. It's a brilliant, if maybe a little risky, insurance policy.
And just to show you how high the stakes are, get this. The founder of TSMC, Morris Chang, has basically said he'd rather burn his own factories to the ground than let that technology fall into enemy hands. That's the delicate balance the world has been living with. Until now.
Because that fragile stability we were just talking about, it just got shattered. A couple of global powers made some huge moves that completely changed the rules of the game almost overnight.
So first up, the United States. For a while, the strategy was simple. Just give chip companies big grants, basically free money, to build factories in America. But here's the thing, it wasn't really working. So Washington completely pivoted. No more handouts. Now, if you take US government money, the government gets shares in your company. It's not a gift anymore, it's an investment. And it gives Washington a direct say in trying to break Taiwan's 90% chokehold. But while the US was rewriting its financial playbook, Japan was quietly getting ready to drop a technological bombshell, a company that seemingly came out of nowhere to challenge the undisputed king of the chip world. This company is called Rapidus, and they didn't just show up, they kicked the door down. They announced they're making a 2-nanometer chip, the most advanced on the planet. And they're not just saying it's as good as TSMC's, they're saying it's better. And here's the kicker. They plan to mass produce it by 2027, and they've signed a deal to do it in India. That move is what sent TSMC's stock tumbling by that $50 billion we talked about. And that brings us to the third, and maybe the most fascinating player in this whole chess game. India. Because as you'll see, India isn't just a location on a map here. It's an active strategist making a series of really calculated moves to put itself right at the center of this new world order. When you break it down, the analysis points to this brilliant playbook. Step 1, years ago, India honored the CEO of Foxconn, the world's biggest electronics maker, with a major civilian award. This was before any huge investment was even announced, a move some are calling strategic genius. Then, step 2, it partners with Japan's disruptive new player, Rapidus. And third, it starts building a brand new chip ecosystem from scratch in a very unexpected place. So you have all these billions of dollars, all this cutting-edge tech. Where is it all going? You might think of the usual tech hubs like Bangalore or Hyderabad, but you'd be wrong. The new frontier for chip manufacturing is taking shape in India's most populous state. We're talking about Uttar Pradesh, and the amount of money pouring in is just mind-boggling. A single joint venture between HCL and Foxconn is investing nearly $500 million to pump out 36 million chips every single month. And that's just one piece of a much, much bigger puzzle that's coming together in the state. So why Uttar Pradesh, of all places?
Well, it's like they created the perfect recipe. You've got huge government subsidies, cheap and reliable power, a massive workforce, and, this is crucial, a brand new international airport designed specifically for just-in-time logistics. In the semiconductor industry, where any delay costs a fortune, that is a total game changer.
So what does all this add up to? When you put it all together, the strategic partnerships, the huge domestic investment, these unique advantages, you start to see a country that isn't just trying to get a piece of the pie. India is positioning itself to become a potential winner in this global chip war. And here's why it has a real shot. In the big rivalry between the US and China, India is seen as a stable, democratic alternative. It has an enormous domestic market that's hungry for electronics. It's graduating over 1 million new engineers every single year. And it has something that Taiwan and South Korea don't: total strategic autonomy. Unlike them, India isn't dependent on the US military for protection, which gives it a much freer hand to play its own game. And that's what it all boils down to, really. This high-stakes game for chip supremacy is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. According to this analysis, it's a conflict that will either forge India into a 21st century superpower or see it get left behind. All the pieces are on the board, and the whole world is watching to see what happens next.